Welcome back to Mayhem Learns to Fly, Book 2. Chapter 9 and 10, The Final Destination. They just got finished saving Eddie at the construction site and his bike, so we'll find out what happened. Back on the ground, I gave Eddie a huge hug. Maybe keep your eyes on the road next time, I suggested. He nodded as Pen came flying down with the bike. Right then, the alarm on the tracker started going off. Let's find these dogs already, said Pen. I've got to get home soon. Even superheroes can't be late for dinner. We huddled around Eddie's device and looked at the map. The red target was heading east toward one of my favorite places in town. Hey, I know where they're going, I yelled. The park. It was all beginning to make sense. Remember how my cat Chaos was leading the pack of dogs? And remember how I said that most cats like to lay in the sun? My cat does too, but here's the thing. While most cats like to do that from a window, Chaos likes to actually lay outside. Look at her. And if she's outside, the park is her go-to place because, well, there's lots of sun and plenty of things to scratch and a big playground. Now that we had a location, it was time to get back off the ground. We decided to meet at the fountain in the park. Eddie handed us the leashes and treats. It's a lucky thing he picked those up from home. You'll get there before me, so I think you'll need these, he said. Pen took the bag and nodded. Thanks, Eddie. Then Pen and I lifted up into the sky. Wouldn't it be so cool to fly? At the park, I let out a sigh of relief. Pax, Chaos, and the other dogs were really there. The park had been set up for the downtown Dog Apalooza tomorrow, and the dogs were running through everything. They raced through tents, knocked over all the chairs, and dug through trophy boxes. I spotted one bulldog chewing on a welcome banner, while a poodle got tangled up in a pile of streamers. Look at that. If we didn't do something fast, the dog show would be ruined. Don't want that. Luckily for Pen and me, there were no people in sight. We just needed to get things under control before anyone saw us. Flying, loop-de-doos, chasing cats and dogs. So we took the leashes and treats and started flying around. But as expected, a pack of hyper dogs and a cat is way too much mayhem, even for a team of 2 superheroes. Well, that's too bad. That's when I looked over and locked eyes with Pen. It's time to use your special trick, I told him. Pen nodded and lifted 2 fingers to his lips. What's he gonna do? What is he really good at? But just as he took a deep breath, a loud whistle that sounded nothing like Pen's echoed from behind us. Weep! Remember Pen was going to whistle like he did the other time? And we're on to chapter 10. Who's that? Arf, 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 yip, 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 yip. The dream team. When I turned around to see who it was, my jaw dropped to the floor. That's an idiom. Do you think it really dropped to the floor? It was my dad. And unlike Eddie, my dad had seen me in my super suit before, so he knew it was me. I started to wave to Dad, but then I stopped. I realized I was in danger of breaking a major Pitts superhero rule. Unless absolutely necessary, it was important to keep our secret identities under wraps. And if I wasn't careful, Pen could figure out who I was. I looked around in a panic, but thankfully Eddie rode up on his bike and my dad played it cool. Hi, Eddie, it's good to see you, my dad said. I've been looking for this pack of dogs all day. I never thought they would head to the park. Good thing that they're all safe. Boy, they're causing all sorts of trouble there. Well, these dogs escaped from the we've been trying to get them back to you, I said before Eddie could reply. I laughed nervously, as my dad lifted an eyebrow. Oh, man, I definitely had some explaining to do when I got home. But luckily, my dad knew exactly what to say. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for tracking them, my dad replied. But I could use some help cleaning this up. The setup crew from the clinic already went home. Look what a disaster it is. They're going to have to clean it up. You got it, sir, I replied with an awkward salute. I shot Eddie a look as he struggled to hold in his laughter. Then we split into two teams with a bunch of the dogs. Eddie and Penn fixed the chairs while my dad, look at that, while my dad and I retrieved banners that had blown into the trees. Then we grabbed the streamers and secured them back on the stage. Once we finished, everything looked as good as new. Hey, that does look better. And the funny thing is that after all that mayhem, the animals were suddenly on their best behavior. So Penn and Eddie easily secured the leashes while I led Chaos inside her carrier. Remember Chaos the cat? She's caused a lot of trouble today. After my dad secured his last dog collar, he stood up and turned to us. Thanks so much, Eddie and, Penn Powers, sir, said Penn. And Mia Mayhem, I added proudly. Then the two of us flew off as Eddie and my dad walked the dogs and Chaos back to the clinic. The next day, at the downtown Dog Apalooza, I walked through all the different stations with Chaos. There were events for best dressed, best ball fetcher, and even best water skier. Well, that's pretty spectacular. When I stopped by the pool that was set up for water skiing, I saw that Pax had won first prize. I opened the carrier to celebrate, but chaos had struck again. I ran around frantically calling her name. Thankfully, this time I found her sleeping under a tree. Well, that's good. So, you know how I said that most cats like taking naps? Well, I guess Chaos does too. And before she wakes up, here are a few things I've learned. For starters, saving the day takes a lot of work, and I couldn't have done it alone. But the good thing is, thanks to the most epic adventure across town, I, Mia Mayhem, can really fly. Woohoo! Remember she had a hard time with that? And I guess the craziest and most obvious lesson of all is that I really need to fix this good old cat carrier. Because who keeps escaping? Chaos the cat. And that is the end. Hope you enjoyed Mia Mayhem Learns to Fly. Remember, if you like this book, you may want to check out other Mia Mayhem books in this series. I think there are about 10 of them. Check them out at your library.